So you want to know what it's like to be a guest on someone else's podcast or live show or whatever it is. I had the fortune of being a guest for the very first time, actually, on somebody else's podcast the other day. It was Peter from the Stumble Across podcast. And I found Peter actually on Reddit who had made a post uh, needing to find somebody to interview for that day. He just like had the time slot open. Something happened, I'm not sure, but he made a post. I'm like, you know what? What the hell? I've never been on somebody else's show. So I was like, I've got the free time that afternoon. So I sent him a message. He was like, yeah, let's do it. I got on there, and let me tell you, it's stressful. It is stressful being somebody else's guest on their show. It's a different stress from hosting, because I still do, after all the shows that I have done, all the live shows that I have done and hosted and co-hosted, it's a different kind of stress, and the anxiety is a little bit different. So when you're hosting yourself, the stress is, are all the technical things working? Is everything set up? Is the audio sounding good? If I'm interviewing somebody, am I making them comfortable? Am I asking the right questions? Am I hopefully making it an enjoyable experience for them? So there's that kind of stress. But when you're a guest on somebody else's show, the stress therein lies, you remove all the things you worry about when you're a host. Like, that part of my brain kind of turns off to where I'm not worried about the cameras. I'm not worried about um, the details of the show, what we're really going to talk about. I can kind of relax and just sit back and field the questions from the other host. But the other part of my brain kicks in because I'm like, well, I want to be a good guest. I want to be interesting. I want to be entertaining. I hope I'm not the suckiest person that they have had on their show, or the least interesting person that they have had on their show. And for me, going on to Peter's come across podcast, Peter, I'm sorry, Stumble Across podcast, to where he's finding different people from really around the world to interview them for like 20 minutes. And I had gone through to vet him a little bit, and I was checking out some of his interviews, and I'm like, these are just interesting people. And then I start going through like, well, I'm not that interesting. I, I made that mistake kind of going in prior to sitting down with them. Is it that what it's called, the imposter syndrome? Where I'm like, I'm not that interesting. Yeah, I've got a podcast show. I do a live show. So then that part started creeping in a little bit as a guest. So the interview is up. You can see the full interview. It's on YouTube on his Stumble Across podcast. Go check it out. I think it's like roughly 20 minutes. See how I did. I've watched the first like 5 minutes of it just to get an idea on how I sounded, how I looked. And I think the first 30 seconds, I was like cringe for just me. And then the other 4 minutes and 30 seconds, I was kind of just taking a look at the video quality and everything that he's got set up. And I'm like, God, I love his setup. Studio looks cool. The video looks great. It's edited great. So that's the purpose of me reaching out to and talking to other creators like this that do podcasts and live streams. Is I want to see the setup and of what they have. But yeah, it's a different stress. It's a different level of anxiety being a guest on somebody else's podcast versus hosting your own show. But go check it out. Let me know how you think I did. You can be honest, and you can help me be a guest the next time if I can mount up the courage to do it again.